All right, I'll call us to order. Let's start with the roll call. Board Member Randall.
Present.
Board Member Rial.
Here.
Board Member Barraza.
Here.
Vice Chair Morales.
Present.
And I am here as well. I'd like to call two of our students, Gabe Oldham and Rory Hoffman, to the podium to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance and our land acknowledgement statement. If everyone could stand for the pledge, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Yes.
I read this part?
Yes.
Oh, sorry.
The part that says land acknowledgement.
Pima Community College acknowledges that we are gathered on the traditional lands of the Tohono O'odham and Pascua Yaqui peoples who have stewarded this land since the immemorial. We recognize their enduring presence and contributions to this region. As we honor this history, we commit to learning from indigenous communities and supporting their sovereignty, culture, and rights.
Thank you so much. Aubrey, you want to come up?
Good evening, all. Chancellor, Board of Governors, colleagues, and guests. We are very thankful to have this opportunity to recognize our amazing student athletes who continue to represent Pima on and off the court with such distinction. And so tonight, we have the opportunity to introduce and recognize our men and women's basketball team. But first, I'd like to introduce Ken Hakami, our athletic director, who will introduce the teams in a short video.
Good evening, Board Chair Taylor, members of the board, Chancellor Nassy, and I just want to say a couple words about how great this year has been so far and recognize our student athletes for both of our basketball teams. Men had a great year, 35-1 record. They were ranked #1 the majority of the year, lost in a tough semifinal game, but it didn't take away from what a great effort and what a great season Brian and his staff did with his team. And then Todd with his team and his staff making it all the way to the national championship game was unbelievable. And for me, it's just great to be able to watch these guys play and these girls play and watch their coaches coach them. So I'm excited in the role that I'm in to be a spectator on these certain nights and watch them play. So congratulations to them both. We'd like to show a video, a little bit of the national championships.
It's been a long and amazing road for both the men's and women's basketball teams at Pima Community College. The men's team made Pima history with a 34-game winning streak. Pretty impressive. Let's take a look at a couple of highlights from the NJCAA Division II National Championship games. On the men's side, first half starting off the semifinal against Parkland College, Coda Benson on fire with this three-point shot. Then West Ball gets a rebound, struggles with Parkland's hardcore defense, but gets through. Check out this Coda assist to Gabe Odom for a slam dunk. Max Marley, son of former Phoenix Suns player Dan Marley, ends the first half with this boom three-pointer, but Aztecs trail 64-52. Second half, West Ball being a baller again with this jump shot, Cohen J. Gonzalez jump shot, then this awesome hook shot, but it wasn't enough. Pima's #1 seeded men's team closed out the season in third place nationally, losing to Parkland 95-74.
We approach every game exactly the same, and I'm sorry it ended like that. I was hoping they would, come down to the wire and be a better game than it was, but just didn't go that way. We've set a record of winning games, and I'm just really proud of what we've all been able to do. We've been working clear back since June, going on 9 months now.
44 brings everything up high. That's where all the traffic is.
As for the women, Pima's team, seeded #6, advanced to the final game. Here they are against Johnson County Community College. Rory Hoffmeyer off to a good start with this basket in the first 30 seconds. Then, tied at 11, Melissa Nelson hits this three to take the lead. Second half, Kennedy Neiman follows Nelson's footsteps with this three-pointer. Emily Buffalo Gutierrez, the workhorse, gets this jump shot and then another basket, but Pima ended up losing to Johnson 75-67, still placing second in the nation.
I think that the thing that I'm always most proud of is that the way that they talk about Pima and how much Pima means to them.
We might have been runner-ups, but I mean, we're number one to me. Like, this is a team I'd want to end Pima with, and I'm glad I did.
They were tough losses, but kudos goes out to both teams and their coaches for an incredible and historic season. We are all proud of you at Pima Community College. Go Aztecs! This is Sherry Gyro reporting.
I'd like to bring up Todd and Brian to talk a little bit and introduce a couple of their players.
Chancellor and the board, I just want to start off by saying thank you. Thank you for allowing us to provide these opportunities for these young adults that they'll always have memories of at Pima. And the memories that they make, they'll soon forget maybe the loss, but the memories that they'll carry with them will last forever. And I also want to thank just for providing and giving us the opportunity. Pima is a special place, not just because of the basketball team, but because of everything that goes into the facilities, security, everything that comes together at the event. People love coming to Pima, and it's because it's a first-class place. And I couldn't be more proud of the group of young women that we took to Missouri, and we came up short, but I felt like at the end of the year we were playing our best basketball, and everybody got to see that on the national stage. And I just couldn't be prouder because they represent everything that's good about not just athletics, but academics as well, because when you see the academic All-American teams come out, you're going to see a handful, if not majority of the team on the national all-academic teams as well. So thank you for everything that you provide for these young adults, and Pima is a special place. Thank you.
I got ditto for Todd. I want to thank the board and Chancellor for allowing us to come on this platform. I want to give a special thanks for Edgar Soto. He's the guy that put me here 14 years ago, took a chance on me, so thank you, Edgar. I want to thank my staff. Two of the guys that actually went to Pima, Mike Morgan and Matt Minder. Went there a long time ago. Matt played there. We've been together for over 30 years. That's longer than me and my wife have been together, so we haven't killed each other yet. So thank you for everything that you've done. And I just want to thank my team for basically putting up with me. A lot of stuff goes unsaid, and we had an unbelievable achievements on the court, but what we did in the classroom, we had a 3.4 GPA, which is the highest in men's basketball history. Right now, I've got 6 sophomores, 4 of them already graduated, and 6 of them already have scholarships to play at the next level at a 4-year school, 4 D1s and 2 D2s. So that's never happened in my career. So it's quite an accomplishment of what they're doing behind the scenes in the classroom. So I want to thank those guys for everything they did. And thank you all. Let's go Aztecs.
Rory and Gabe, would you like to come up and speak on behalf of your team?
This is Gabe, and he is the godfather of our team, all right?
Yeah, just sitting there thinking, it's hard to put in words a full 2 years here at Pima. I think all I could say is a feeling I get all the time is like, it's incredible that I got an opportunity to play college basketball. I'm from Utah. I played at a small high school that basketball wasn't very big there. And so, I was amazed all the time that I had this chance to play college basketball. And now I have the opportunity to go play, at the next level, which once again is incredible. So I'm just super grateful for the opportunity that I've had to be here. To reflect on the season, I think this team has, it's just been incredible. We've all been able to grow together as friends and kind of create this own family. And We came up short, took third place, but like I said in that video as well, I'm extremely proud of what we've been able to do. Especially coming off that loss and being able to finish the season on a win with a third place trophy, which obviously no one wants to be third place, but I think that just shows how tough we are. We don't care if we get knocked down. It matters on who gets up. I just want to say thank you to all the coaches. Coach H, he's no longer here, but he's the one that originally recruited me, and then Coach Peabody, Morgan, and Minder, Nico, Coach Flan. Just putting trust in me, and it's just really cool that I can come from somewhere small and go somewhere big. And I think all the other guys behind me feel the exact same way, that we're really blessed to have had this opportunity to play at Pima, and for sure this is going to be a memory I have for the rest of my life. So yeah, thank you very much.
I did have to write it on paper, or I would stand up here staring at you all. So just wanted to preface that. I first want to thank everyone here for recognizing my team and I on our season this year. I especially want to give a big thanks to my coaches and all my girls. This year was something special, and I wouldn't trade it for the world. Pima is a special place and will always be near and dear to my heart. If you would have told me 2 years ago that this is where I would be, I would have laughed in all of your faces. Fast forward to where we are now, and I'm begging to somehow make Pima a 4-year. So if we can make that happen, please let me know. Oh, geez. Where was I? For me, being an Aztec was as easy and natural as breathing. I know once I stepped foot at Pima, I wanted to be a part of the Aztec family. From in the classroom to on the court, I never felt out of place. I always felt I belonged here at Pima and will forever be thankful for that. Pima has made me realize that you can have family that isn't blood. These girls here are and forever will be my sisters, and all of them are invited to my wedding. The coaches that I have been blessed with will always be people I look up to, but also people I love. Coach Todd will forever go down in my history book as the best coach I will ever have. He never doubted any of us for a second and will forever be my Tucson dad. Everyone needs a Coach Todd, and I'm lucky enough to have one. Upsetting Mesa in our regional championship game, going to the national tournament back-to-back, and ending our season as national runner-ups are the first things I'm putting on my resume. Whether we had won or lost the final game really isn't what matters. At the end of the day, I'm always grateful to be an Aztec, and will be forever. 10 years down the road, everyone will say the best decision in their life was marrying their significant other or becoming a parent. Mine is coming to Pima. Thank you.
I just want to say one last thing. I really, really appreciate you guys having us. It's a great honor to come to the board meeting. I'm so proud of both these teams, and I just appreciate everything you do for us. Thank you.
All right, thank you all. Thank you for being here. Thank you for choosing Pima, for your education. Thanks for all the work. I know it's hard to be a student athlete and dedicate time to your studies and the time that you need to dedicate to being athletically exceptional as well. So I appreciate all your hard work, and we're very proud of everything you all accomplished. So let's move on to 1.6 on the agenda. It's funny, actually, when we planned this out, I wasn't thinking that we were going to go from something really happy to something sort of sad to something sort of happy. So let me do the sad one real quick here. But in part of in this section, we wanted to make sure that we took a few moments to reflect on the life and legacy of Congressman Raul Grijalva, who died a few weeks ago. He was a champion and supporter of Pima College in so many ways. His life's work was rooted in justice and equity and opportunity for all, especially those who were at the margins of society. And through his decades of public service, he never wavered from his commitment to lifting up families, students, parents, children, and vulnerable adults. His advocacy for education, social services, healthcare align powerfully with the work that we do here at Pima College, and certainly causes that I've advocated for in my career. Congressman Grijalva was a fierce advocate for affordable, accessible healthcare. He believed that no one, regardless of income, background, zip code, geography, should be denied care. And he consistently pushed for expanded funding for community health centers, mental health services, Medicaid, knowing that these systems are lifelines for low-income families. And more importantly here at Pima, Congressman Grijalva believed that well-being and education go hand in hand. He championed our campus federal grant to help PC students and parents stay in school and succeed, because he knew that supporting families supports our workforce and our community. And we felt his impact here at the college in other ways. He helped secure funding for our flexible industry training lab and building and construction trades facility. He supported adult basic education programs to ensure that everyone had a pathway for opportunity through education. But I think even more meaningful is that his support went beyond funding, which is important, but he was present for us. He listened, he celebrated our students, he stood beside us when it mattered most. And in the first year that I was on this board, we went to Washington, D.C., and we schedule meetings with our congressional delegation. Sometimes we meet with their staff, sometimes we meet with the actual Congress people. My understanding from some of the board members that preceded me is nearly every year, Congressman Grijalva made time to make sure that he met with us and our students. It wasn't just a member of his staff. So we felt that support and that presence, and it certainly will be missed. Congressman Grijalva didn't just serve in Congress, he really served the people of Southern Arizona, and he made sure federal investments reached those that needed them the most. So as the chair of Pima's governing board, and as someone who deeply cares about affordable education, strong community health, and social support, I stand with others in their admiration for Congressman Grijalva and continue his legacy to lead with compassion, justice, and service to our community. So thank you so much to the Congressman. He'll be missed here at the college. Did anyone want to add anything on Congressman Grijalva, or we'll transition into the next fun thing away from the sad ones? No? All right. Chancellor, you want to talk a little bit about our other recognitions tonight? I think we're going to do them all at the end, was my understanding.
So we'll do all
we
the
can
pictures
everybody.
at once.
Yeah,
All
at
right.
the end of this section, we'll get all the pictures out of the way.
Thank you for that, Chair Taylor, for that wonderful recognition, and thanks for being here. We're so proud of the athletic teams, and we have a lot to celebrate this evening. So I want to welcome so many of you, our honored guests. I see we have family members here. To our semi-annual Pima Community College Governing Board's recognition celebration. The college encourages its employees and students to pursue civic and professional activities, and we are all pleased when they are honored by those organizations in which they are affiliated. You are being recognized this evening because you received an honor or an award from a local, state, regional, national, or international organization over the past year through March. Community members honored at these celebrations are either alumni of the college or have created a significant relationship or partnership with the college. And with that, I will turn it over to our acting provost, Dr. Ian Rourke.
Good evening, board, chancellor, and guests. To the audience, please, we will be introduce this year's honorees, announcing their achievements, and as their names are called, please hold your applause until all of the members have received their certificates from Andrea. Honorees who cannot be with us this evening will be mailed their certificates. Honorees, as your name is read, please come forward to receive your certificate of recognition and stand to the side until the entire group has received their awards, the side being where Andrea is. We ask that you return to your seats, that you not return to your seats until all honorees have received their certificates. Honorees, as the Chancellor indicated, please stay for a photo with the board and Chancellor immediately following the recognition ceremony. The group to be recognized this evening are college employees who have received honors and awards outside of Pima Community College. First, and in the back, we have Lourdes Rivera, who was selected by the Center for the Future of Arizona to be one of 18 members for the 2025 Southern Arizona Workforce Leadership Academy, which is sponsored by the Aspen Institute, Pima Community College, and the Center for the Future of Arizona. Lourdes, come receive your award. Maricruz Ruiz, who was selected by Santa Cruz County Border Economic Magazine as Person of the Year for 2024. Maricruz. Tricia Wilkin earned her Bachelor of Science in Business Administration, Human Resource Management from Columbia Southern University. Is Tricia here? Yay. Isaac Abbs, looking as dapper as ever, was selected as the winner of the 2024 Information Chief Technology Officer CIO Award in the Large Enterprise category. Commander Robert Lane completed the 10-week certificate course in Police Station and Command from Northwestern University Center for Public Safety. Commander. Lieutenant Richard Jorgen completed a 10-week certificate course in Police Staff and Command from Northwestern University Center for Public Safety. All right. Chelsea, who I believe is somewhere behind me, Chelsea James was awarded a certificate in Open Education Librarianship from the Open Education Network, OEN, at the University of Minnesota. And finally, for this group, Dr. Ricardo Castro Salazar served as a Fellow of the Council of American Overseas Research Centers, or CAORC, a nationally competitive fellowship from CAORC, funded by the United States Department of State Bureau of Educational and Cultural Affairs. Also, he published a paper through Sage Journal's Qualitative Inquiry, Whose Side Are We On?, toward an emancipatory ethic in critical arts-based research. Please join me in applauding our honorees for their hard work and dedication. And I think you can file back there over to the side, or yes, we're doing pictures at the end. Yeah. Thank you very much. Or to your seats. We'll just do the seats. All right, Chancellor.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Work. And congratulations. The college is so proud of all of your achievements. It certainly speaks to the quality at Pima Community College. I also want to acknowledge, of course, the support given by your family and friends, and we all know that is an important factor in your success. Thank you. Dr. Work?
All right. The next group now that we will present are our faculty emeritus recognitions. The governing board confers emeritus status on distinguished individuals retired from the college to signify honor and respect for outstanding accomplishments and contributions to the college over many years. Faculty and administrators receiving such an award exemplify the characteristics of ideal community college educators who, through their professional careers at Pima Community College, have contributed significantly to their discipline, student success, professional organization, campuses, and the Pima community. Emeritus nominations come from the Faculty Senate and the Chancellor's Executive Leadership Team, who then forward the recommended nominations to the governing board for approval. Faculty emeriti receive several benefits, such as a tuition waiver, a lifetime email, and a library card that gives them the same access and privileges to the Pima Community College Library as full-time faculty members. We will also present them with a beautifully framed certificate and a plaque that will be installed here at the district office building. I am pleased to announce the following 2025 faculty who have been awarded emeritus status at Pima Community College. As I call your name, please come up to receive your plaque from Andrea. Elena Grajada. Elena taught Spanish at Pima Community College for 20 years, where she made significant contributions to the world language and reading department. Her accomplishments include developing online courses in multiple languages, advocating for zero-cost textbooks, and creating open educational resources for Spanish courses. She introduced communication tools for online classrooms, provided faculty professional development using D2L Brightspace. Ms. Graha also enhanced online teaching faculty quality through the Teach, Build, Lead training series and fostered a supportive culture by recognizing her colleagues' achievements. Her extensive contributions make her an excellent candidate for emeritus status. Board member, now Teresa Real from District 2, a retired math faculty member from Pima Community College, has over 22 years of exemplary service. She served as faculty co-chair of the Student Learning Outcomes Committee for 5 years and played a role in faculty development and assessment. Teresa Real has also been involved in important committees, mentored new faculty, taught various math courses. She actively supported students relocating her office hours to the tutoring center and provided instruction in various settings, including high schools, the University of Arizona, and the University of Arizona. Additionally, she developed math curricula, participated in faculty development, and collaborated with educational organizations while also engaging in the community service through groups like the League of Women Voters of Southern Arizona. And I don't know if Nan is here. Couldn't spot her earlier. Nan Schmidt. Nan? We're still going to read about Nan. Nan was an exceptional biology instructor whose extensive contributions make her a strong candidate for recognition as faculty emeritus. As department chair for the Biology Learning Center, she actively engaged with the Discipline Faculty Committee, advising on policy, revising curricula, and supporting program reviews. She coordinated and redesigned courses such as Biology 105, 182, and successfully taught Biology 183, organizing significant field trips to environmental centers in Mexico. Schmidt also mentored adjunct faculty, developed a common lab manual, and redesigned Biology 156 for virtual teaching, enhancing engagement and inclusivity. Her inquiry-based labs and materials, including original drawings, continue to benefit various courses. Additionally, she served on the PCC Education Association and All-Employee Representative Council, advocating for faculty interests and ensuring effective communication on working conditions. Smith's research in geology and marine science, along with her published work, further highlights her expertise and dedication. Please join me in congratulating these wonderful faculty emeriti. We are proud of you for your accomplishments and everything you have done for the legacy of Pima Community College. All right. I think everybody's going to your seats. Yeah. And of course, we'll call you back for the photo as well. Next, I am privileged to present the Professional Enrichment Recognition Award to our esteemed faculty who have been identified as innovative and exceptional by their peers from the Faculty Professional Development and Faculty Sabbatical Committee. These faculty members engage in activities that positively impact students, the college, and the community. Full-time faculty and staff instructors can self-nominate or be nominated by students, staff, colleagues, administrators, or community members. I extend our heartfelt gratitude to Pima Community College Foundation, specifically Marcy Euler, who financially supports this award. This evening, and Marcy, could you please raise your hand? Thank you, Marcy, President and CEO of Pima Foundation, who financially supports this award. This evening, we are honoring 2 faculty members, each receiving this award and a prize of $500. Now I know where to go to next when I need a spot for lunch. All right, we will read a brief description of the award-winning work and all of our awardees. But please know that their accomplishments are far greater than what I am able to share with you tonight. First, we have Michaela Hayes. Michaela? Michaela serves as a full-time instructional member in the mathematics and was nominated for this award with her strong support from PCC faculty, staff, and administration. Her nomination highlights innovative contributions benefiting students, the college, and the community. She played a key role in developing faculty compensation and salary policies, improving system workflows, and updating institutional policies. Her work with the AERC and faculty initiatives reflects her commitment to collaboration, shared governance, and institutional improvement. Colleagues recognizing her leadership in mastery grading, contributions to the Higher Learning Commission's accreditation assurance argument, and participation in strategic planning and the PCC UA, University of Arizona Science of Kindness Consortium. As noted, she fosters inclusivity, strengthens shared governance, and promotes a supportive learning environment. Michaela, we have presented this certificate to you, well earned. And then next we have Kelly O'Keefe. Kelly O'Keefe serves as a full-time instructional faculty and department head for Health Information Technology and was nominated for this award with strong support from PCC colleagues and external professionals. Her nomination highlights her leadership in transitioning the Health Information Technology program fully online, developing 6 open education resource-based courses, securing a dedicated tutor for health information technology students, and building partnerships with the American Academy of Professional Coders for certification prep. As part of her doctoral research, she also created the Student Online Learning Action Ramp, SOLAR, to enhance online learning support. Kelly's extensive services include roles in Faculty Senate, strategic planning, artificial intelligence initiatives, Higher Learning Commission accreditation, and numerous committees across Pima Community College. She has completed leadership and professional development programs and was honored with the 2024 Curriculog User of the Year. As stated in her nomination, Kelly's contributions have made and continue to make Pima an excellent learning organization for students, colleagues, and the Tucson community. Kelly, you now have your certificate as well, so all, please join me in celebrating these 2 esteemed faculty members. And now I have the honor of introducing Tirsa Sanders, who is the Academic Director of Education, for our tribute to Lisa Grabal. Tirsa.
Good evening, Chancellor, Board of Governors, and guests. In teacher education, we not only provide traditional coursework, we also provide training and support in pre-K-12 classrooms. Teaching is a challenging job, and you're responsible for the safety, care, and learning of hundreds of children. Studies show that new teachers with mentors are more likely to stay in the profession, and their students have better learning outcomes. We recognize how important it is to have guidance, support, and inspiration when you're a new teacher. For new teachers, having a mentor can make all the difference. A mentor's wisdom, encouragement, and feedback are invaluable in shaping the path to success, and there's no better example of this than Lisa Grabal. Today, we celebrate an exceptional individual who has embodied the spirit of mentorship at Pima for over 20 years. Lisa Grabal has dedicated a remarkable portion of her life to guiding and supporting countless teachers, offering practical advice, fostering growth, and ensuring that every educator she has mentored has felt seen and heard. Her legacy of nurturing teachers has touched many lives, and we are incredibly grateful for her commitment to shaping not only classrooms, but futures. We'd like to show a short video to honor Lisa Grabal for her decades of unwavering dedication to teaching, mentorship, and education. Thank you for inspiring so many of us to be better teachers and better people.
Hi, I'm Rebecca Cohen, full-time faculty in the Teacher Certification Program. I've been at Pima for 15 years, and Lisa was already working for us when I started working at Pima, and it was such a joy to meet her. She has such a welcoming and caring personality, and she had worked with so many students and had been a teacher for so many years and had so much experience. It was always so great talking to her. But the one thing that always set Lisa apart once I finally, got to know her over the years is she always had this amazing knack for students who struggled and for the more difficult students who needed just extra support. Really just her kindness and her love for the students and the profession. And it's really not the same here without her.
Hello, Lisa. Congratulations on the next chapter. Thank you so much for all that you imparted in me. As you encouraged me, I would not be the teacher I am today without your encouragement and guidance. I wish you well.
Hi, my name is Michael Redloff, and I was the department head of the program while Lisa was in the program. And I gotta tell you, she is the most amazing woman with an incredible human story. I remember vividly, for years, we used to sit around and make assignments, and we would strategically give her students that we knew were gonna be more challenging and needed more help. And and she was the one we always counted on. And students were always successful with her. 97% student success rate across all students.
Hi Lisa, it's Kate Wilcox from back in the day. I just wanted to shower you with gratitude and congratulate you on a job well done. You supported me during a very difficult season in my first year teaching at Doolin Middle School. You showed up ready to listen, ready to support, and if I didn't have you in my corner during those tough moments, I would not have lasted 10 years in the classroom. Thank you so much for showing up. Thank you for giving an abundant listening ear and never holding any judgment over me. I know that Pima Community College is grateful to have you and we'll miss you, but we wish you luck in wherever life takes you next. Thank you, Lisa.
Thank you so much, Lisa, for your service. Thank you very much. Do you have anything else to say? All right. And now we are going to have our board and chancellor come down for photos, and the photos will be in this order: the mission moment, so our women's basketball team, then our men's basketball team, followed by the governing board recognition, faculty emeriti, professional enrichment awardees, and Lisa Grabel. All right.
to do both.
I drive him crazy because I always have a good Chancellor. My years of service are wrong. I started in 96. What does it say? 98.
They shaved 2 years off.
I'm gonna get a little post-it and just put it right there.
Some white out in the
White out, yeah. My kids are like, what's white out?
All right, let's come back together. Thank you again for all of our honorees tonight. We appreciate it. We will move on to 1.7, which is our call to the audience. We only have one this evening, the award-winning Michaela Hayes.
Thanks for the new title. I like it. Good evening, everybody. Board members, Chancellor Nassy, colleagues, and guests. I am the award-winning, apparently, Michaela Hayes. I'm going to have fun with that tonight. First of all, I want to thank you for the recognition this evening. It was really awesome and a great feeling to earn that. I have a bit of a funny story here. I've heard recently that there's possibly an impression out there among people that I am actually fully reassigned from my teaching load and not teaching in the classroom due to a lot of the work that I do throughout the college and for the faculty union for PCCEA. I just wanted to share that's not actually the case. I do actually teach 3 courses. I have 2 online courses for intermediate algebra, and I teach a 5-load-hour Calculus 1 in person. And I get about 1 reassigned time, 1 course load reassigned time, 4 load hours for the work that I do as AERC co-chair. AERC is our policy group. So as PCCA president, I actually don't automatically receive any reassigned time from the institution for the work that I do in bringing faculty voice to concerns regarding wages and working conditions. PCCEA holds 1 appointed seat on the All-Employee Representative Council, and that is the one I currently hold. I'm currently appointed. None of my other PCCEA representatives who help me serve the college receive any reassigned time for the work they do in representing faculty on concerns regarding wages and working conditions. As part of my duties as PCCEA president, I personally have served at least 15 individual people in their working condition or wage concerns just this academic year, along with working on at least 3 larger group concerns outside of the AERC work that I do. This means taking the time to hear their concerns, helping figure out which path to take to get those concerns resolved, attending meetings with them, and following up to ensure that they have what they need. I've had colleagues take on a few other concerns outside of what I've been able to take on as well, and they don't get compensated for that either. However, these services we provide are probably some of the most impactful for morale and ensuring accountability for policy. An internal audit is currently being finalized that covers the employee representative groups and shared governance bodies. I believe that report will be available to the board upon completion, and I, along with other faculty leaders, have also requested a written definition of shared governance at prior meetings. We're being told that discussions are moving forward on that, and we should be involved in those discussions soon. And I look forward to those conversations, and I thank the administration for taking those requests seriously. My request from the governing board and administration is that the review of the governance and shared governance at our institution would also include a review of the reassigned load or compensated time that your employee representatives receive for their work for the faculty union. Much of what we do directly benefits the college and is currently largely uncompensated by the college. I understand we can't be compensated for union work, but we can be compensated for college work on behalf of our fellow employees. So thank you to my fellow union representatives for being there for your colleagues despite not being compensated for that. And I thank the board for their recognition tonight. I'm thankful to serve faculty and staff in the roles I've been trusted with, and I really look forward to see what the future holds. Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to 1.8, we'll get an update from the Pima Community College Foundation. Marcy?
Good evening, Chancellor Nassy, Chair Taylor, Governing Board, excuse me. I think are we putting up my little slides? Maybe? That's okay. That's okay. That's all right. I don't want to touch anything and break it. Thank you. All right. Thank you so much for your help. Last week, whoops. So you all know Pima Foundation is the philanthropic partner to the college. We support the faculty, students, and programs that are important to our region and the institution. Last Thursday, we held our celebration of giving, which was an opportunity for us to recognize and thank donors who had given $1,000 or more in a single gift or cumulatively. And we held it at the Advanced Manufacturing Center in the Azurite Room. And we had a number of speakers, and it was a really lovely event. And thank you to board member Morales and Board Member Real for being there, and Chancellor Nassy for speaking. Here's just a few pictures from the event. In the packet, I have included our mission impact statement. I have some extra hard copies here if there is anyone who would like them. But the packet also has the report in electronic form. I do want to mention a couple of things that I mentioned at the meeting. We had in attendance someone from the Jim Click automotive team who had given us $500,000. Humberto Lopez and his wife Zarina, who have also donated $500,000. And we had Melissa Dye from Arizona Complete Health, who have given us $500,000. We had Adriana Kong Romero and one of her colleagues from Bank of America. They've given us $1 million in the last few years. We also recognize the $2.5 million from the Thomas R. Brown Family Foundation and the $5 million challenge grant from the Connie Hillman Family Foundation. Larry Adamson was at the event and was able to talk to a lot of different donors who were able to thank him for that match. So we introduced him to a lot of people that were really grateful for that opportunity that has really leveraged funds in a different way. And while those are all really large gifts, every gift, regardless of size, really makes an enormous difference for us. It supports scholarships or departmental needs, equipment costs, faculty development, and other things that elevate Pima Community College to a national stage among its community college peers. We also, in our booklet, we have highlighted a number of different partners, and we have showcased the amount of scholarships. So this is a 2-year booklet because we kind of missed doing last year, so we're catching up. In 2022-23, we gave out 452 scholarships with $401,000 awarded. This past fiscal year, there were 564 scholarships awarded and $533,000 in distributions. And I believe very strongly that this year, by the time the fiscal year is over, we will award over $650,000 in scholarships. So we are excited about the money that is coming into the foundation that is going out to students and out to programs. I also wanted to showcase in here, we also have our donor list that is, there's a QR code in here that provides information that anyone can go and look at our donor list. So on our collective giving page, there's a QR code. The link that is in the board packet actually takes you to that list to see the people who donated over the past 2 years. We are on track right now for this current fiscal year to exceed our budgeted items in terms of donations that have come in, and hopefully not exceed our budgeted expenses. That's always a good thing. The thing that makes us different is that we collect money in a fiscal year that is rolled forward into other fiscal years. So since I began in 2018 in this role, we had about $7.5 million that are investment company was holding for us and managing for us. And as of February, not March, because March was a really bad month in the stock market, but as of February, we are managing about $17 million. And so we have collected over $25 million in the last 7.5 years or so, and distributed at least $15 million of that, as well as put more into our coffers to be able to manage for future use, our endowments, our scholarships, and our program funds. So with that, if there's any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Sorry.
Thank you to those of you who are here, and those of you who are not, you have the little gifts that we gave out at the event, and hopefully you can attend next time. Thank you.
Thank you. Sorry, I discovered as you were talking there was chocolate in here, so I had it in my mouth. But I appreciate that. I'm sorry I couldn't make it. That was Diamondbacks opening night, and so I was at Chase Field, but I was cheering you on from there, in addition to cheering the Diamondbacks on, who lost, by the way, in that game. But let's move on to 1.9, summary of current events by governing board members. Board Member Randall, any remarks you want to share?
I just wanted to very quickly say congratulations to everybody that was honored today, and to the honored emeriti. The lifetime library privileges seem pretty sweet. So enjoy them.
Board Member Rial.
I would like to reiterate that congratulations to all of these amazing people we all work with, and thank you for being who you are and bringing your treasures to the college. You're absolutely amazing people, all of you. If you didn't get an award yet, you deserve one, so we'll give you one next time. So I only attended 2 events. It seems like it's been really, really busy month. I went to the Futures Conference that was put on by the college to sort of start receiving ideas for our next strategic plan. And I was really amazed at my table, just some of the thoughtful contributions that community members and Pima College employees and students made, and it was a great experience. So if you were there, thank you for your presence and your participation, and if you weren't, you might want to show up next year, because whatever you have to offer is also really, really wanted also. Marcy had a great party. Thank you for inviting all of us, and I would like to also say to all of the donors that make that possible, my granddad donated money to the foundation back in 2003, and he was a huge believer in the opportunities that public education gave students that they would never have without this opportunity. So thank you, Marcy, for your amazing continued work. We're really proud of all that you're doing also. And then the last thing I just wanted to mention was I met with some PCC faculty members and non-faculty non-members at the West Campus a few mornings ago, and we had a walk-in, and it is an activity that is happening around the United States with educators, where they're talking to parents and concerned citizens about what the cuts from the Department of Education might mean to public education. And community colleges, we may be impacted in a negative way in the future, but there are a lot of K through 12 schools that will really be impacted badly. And we at the community college PCCA organized the event so we could show our support for the K through 12 situation also. If you are wondering what that means, walk-ins at these schools, it's a very, it's a supportive thing. It's a walk out is we're showing our strength, right? A walking in is showing our support for what teachers in the K through 12 situation are having to face, and it's dire. So thank you for your continued support for all of education. I know everybody, we all value it from kindergarten all the way up through post-collegiate, so thank you. And then lastly, one other comment I wanted to make. I do know that there are quite a few administrators and faculty here who have donations taken out of their paychecks each week, and we don't recognize you all the time for contributing to the foundation, but you are mentioned quite often in different arenas around, and so thank you for supporting the foundation in that way with your hard-earned dollars. We admire that you're working for this money and then you're giving it back so you can do more work. I really appreciate that of you guys, so thank you.
Thank you. Board Member Barraza.
Thank you. I'd like to reiterate Board Member Riel's comments about the Futures Conference on March 14th. I was a little concerned about the time change. In the past, it's been in the morning, and so I thought Friday afternoon, it's going to be a little bit harder to get folks to come out. It started at 11:30, ended at 4, and it was a complete success, at least from the attendance standpoint and the input during the report outs. I'd like to thank faculty, staff, everybody that put together the event. I think it was very well attended, and there was a lot of participation, and especially to community members that took time from their busy schedules to come and provide input and thoughts about what the direction that the college should continue going in. And so I'd like to thank everybody that was involved with that.
Great. Vice Chair Morales.
I'm also going to echo the sentiment of congratulations to our athletes and to our academics. Thank you all so much for the amazing representation that you all are for our Pima Community College. I sat here and was so filled with pride when I hear our students talking about how these are the memorable moments and that we at Pima are creating those moments. And when I say we, I mean you all. You all are doing the hardest part of it, which is being the influencers, the motivators. So thank you all so much as academics and to our athletes for the time invested. I also wanted to quickly, again, thank Marcy for the great celebration. Yet another moment where I get to be surrounded by people that share the same mission and the same passion. It's always great to associate and talk to donors because it gets me, it just fills me with pride to know that there's so many people in our community that are so invested in our students and so invested in our community college. And that all happens because of you, Marcy, and your team, and they're always so fantastic. So thank you so much for inviting me to be part of that event. The last thing that I want to say is that last year in 2024, Dr. Rourke, along with other community partners like Sun Corridor, Pima County, City of Tucson, and the Arizona Technology Council, we all had the opportunity to participate in a listening tour with the Council of Foreign Relations. And they wanted to talk to us and learn a little bit more about what we are doing in Southern Arizona, and particularly with Pima Community College when it came to workforce development, what we thought, what our feelings were about economic leadership. They then created a 100 and some page report, which they put together where Pima Community College was showcased and highlighted for the work that we are doing, not just with our centers of excellence, but with our advanced manufacturing, artificial intelligence, all the things that we are doing that really impacts economic development and workforce development. And I had the privilege of representing not just the Arizona Technology Council, but also Pima Community College, and participated in a national panel discussion where we talked a little bit about the report. And again, I'm so incredibly privileged to be able to sit in a national panel presentation and talking about the work that we're doing here in Southern Arizona. They didn't care about Phoenix. They wanted to know what Southern Arizona was doing. And when we get to talk about what we are doing as far as advanced manufacturing, how we are changing the narrative about manufacturing and creating the high-wage, high-quality jobs that allow for families to live not just for today, but for the future, for whether if they want to buy a house or if they want to invest in a new business, the generational impact that we are having, it is so incredibly impressive, and it's so just an amazing thing for me that I get to be part of representing Pima Community College in that way. Last thing I'll say is I'll share more information with our team and with our folks in the Dr. Rourke's team, because the report mentioned us as well, but what was really cool is that they actually wrote a report on the Wall Street Journal and the Washington Post and talked about the work that we are doing. So the work that you all are doing is being recognized across the entire nation. So congratulations for the work that you're doing, and thank you for allowing me the privilege to be your representative.
Thank you so much. I think everybody's probably heard enough from me so far, so I won't have any additional remarks other than what I've shared so far. So let's move into 2.1, the administrative reports. Brian Stewart, you want to give us a strategic plan update on cultivating a culture of care?
Good evening, Chairperson Taylor, members of the board, Chancellor Nassy, colleagues and guests. Here to talk about the strategic plan update for our cultivating a culture of care. So this is the 24 to 2026 updated strategic plan initiative. Under that, you will see that we have these key activities. You got a huge report from me with all the little details in there. I'm not going to go through all of those with you. I'm just going to highlight three main topics that we're going to talk about. So one is, what is a culture of care? Where are we in that? And why are we even talking about this? Why does it matter to us as an institution? So starting with what is a culture of care, it's probably easiest to start with it with what it is not. Often, sometimes when people hear care, they will immediately go to, oh, it's being nice. It's rainbows and butterflies. It is not that. It is what you saw, and this was beautiful that it happened today. It's what you saw earlier tonight. It is about establishing connections, honest, trusting connections with each other for the purpose of improving outcomes in an organization. For us in higher ed, that means improving student success. So culture of care is really talking about how to establish a relationship with each other, with our students, in a way that improves our overall outcomes. And there are a variety of ways that we do that. It's about investing in people because people create your product and your outcome. The goals as a higher education institution for us are really focusing on performances, improving our utilization of resources, and getting down to student success initiatives, such as course success rates, persistence, retention, completion rates, those areas. Now, how do you think working together is going to generate those? So this is not new to higher education. This is a theory and practice that has been around a long time. Everybody knows Hughes Missile Systems, now Raytheon. They practice this. It's embedded in their philosophies and never gone away. All of healthcare uses care. Many people will say, oh, care is really nice and it's very sweet, but I can tell you, I'm a nurse. Most of you would probably not say nurses are nice. You would say nurses are caring. They genuinely want to make sure that you get better. But they're not going to be nice about it. They're going to be kind about it, but we're not going to be nice about it. We're going to make sure you know the honest truth. The same thing comes to a culture of care within our organization. We don't want to be nice with our students, but we want them to know we care. We want them to know the struggles, and we want them to know the success. And most importantly, are there outcomes to demonstrate that? Now, Pima College has not always had a culture of care. Sometime in its past, I'm sure it didn't. But when I got here over 20 years ago, it was a mission aspect for us. It was embedded in our values. It's come and gone over the years, but it's sort of been present. And then around COVID time, there was a lot of talk in higher education about what does culture of care mean, because we were having problems getting people back into educational systems. A model was developed, this is the one right here, which looks at when you are connected to your mission and your vision, you can have these amazing spikes of outcome, 50% growth and suddenly in a business. But then that business collapses. But sustained growth, that's the blue one. So the red one is a spike and it collapses. The blue one is sustained. When you create authentic, honest, trusting engagements, they sustain. And there are organizations out there, schools, that were demonstrating that this was true. At the college, we were trying to figure out how do we get students to come to services that we know are really important, that we know help them succeed, like learning centers, tutoring services, things like that. And so our acting chancellor at the time was connected to those businesses that were out there, listening to the industry out there and said, hey, what about at the college? We used to do this. So we had the discussion and came up with the idea of let's explore it and figure it out. We have our partner is University of Arizona, Science of Kindness Center, Dr. Jeanette Murray. They do this work, lots of research on the benefits of doing this, lots of organizational turnarounds that they have. But what about Pima, right? We don't want to jump into something without knowing that those outcomes are there. Well, they are. And I'm going to show you what that data is in just a second. We're in the status now where we are in the middle of developing sort of what does it mean for us as an institution. And then we'll get into prioritization, definitions, implementation plans, which is in the fall. And then in the spring of 2026, implementing it full wide in the college, integrating into all of our operations. Why are we going that big? Well, when you see the data, you'll see why. Because you can't do this with one person with 2% of the population. You have to do it at scale. Everybody in healthcare cares. It doesn't matter where you are. Everybody in a college needs to decide that if you want impacts at a large scale. So there's a little bit of demographic information as I get into the data section. So this is just to show you that we can slice and dice our data in many, many ways. This is 2024's picture of our student populations. These are just some things that we can pull. We can pull many others if you are interested, but we can pull data apart. And the reason we do that is not to separate things, but to bring them together. When we find a gap in data that says this group is doing differently than this group, what we want to do is say, well, what's working here that we can bring over here so everybody is better? Or what can we add here and add here so that everybody is elevated? It's always about addition. It's never about subtraction. So if you have, and I have some data here if you have questions, just in case you need it. So let's talk a little bit about success. So course success means that students are getting an A, B, or C. They're not failing, they're not withdrawing from courses, they're succeeding in courses. Learning centers are the places that we have tutoring and other types of services. Coaches are individuals who help students connect to services. What this data shows is that students who are using learning centers have a higher success rate than students who do not. Particularly if you look at success for new to higher ed. Right? There's an 11-point gain for students who are using new or higher ed. That means they have not been in college very much, and they have a much better success rate if they get to that learning center. But they have to get to that learning center to do it. The coaches, interestingly enough, you'll see it doesn't seem to have the same rate. So you may say, well, why am I showing you that? Why does that matter? Well, coaches are not tutors. Their focus isn't student success. Their focus is connection. Coaches, which is circled here, have a much dramatic impact on persistence. Persistence is students who are in the fall moving to the spring. So this is 2024 to 2025. Look at the impact. 20 points higher when students have a coach. Persistence is enrollment. It is very dramatic when a student has a coach. This number here, coaches aren't impacting student success, so maybe they're not passing, but they're coming back to classes anyway. The impact on that is that I may not succeed once, but I can try again. That has a huge impact on future successes. Sounds great, but what are the percentages? How many people are actually using these services, which is actually the question. And where does this actually come from? Remember, we're not doing culture of care right now, intentionally. We are just using initiatives that tend to have that impact and are in that category. But what if we actually intentionally focused in these areas? So these are our percentages right now. As of this last year, we are about 22% of our students are using our learning centers and our coaching combined, 22%. We've never been higher than maybe 26 in our past. Think about that. If we know we can have a 20% point increase in persistence, what if we doubled that number? That's twice the number of people who are going to have a 20-point increase in persistence. That's an enrollment gain. And then a success gain, because we know they're going to access learning centers, which improve student success. We can also look at modality. This is just there for modality because there's this question about online success. So it's always wondering about how online is. We can see, we know, back from the data, that online students, here it is, online students do better if they have a coach. They do much better, they persist better. They're better if they're using learning centers. But they're using about half the rate of our in-person students. So finding more ways to do that in an online environment will only improve their success rates. So why does culture of care matter? If every single employee was embodying those ideas of connection, of engagement, It amplifies the number of people that are bringing students into our learning centers, into our coaches, increasing the chances for us to have increased persistence, retention, student success areas. That's why it matters. I have a question. If you have questions for me, I am here for you.
Any questions? Comments?
Do all the campuses have a learning center?
Yes, every campus has a learning center. The coaches are the smallest amount that we have, but they're all underutilized. So we're not adding money, we're not asking for more resources. It's just using what we have better, improvement of utilization of resources. Yeah.
How do students access the coaches? Just what's the process?
So the coaches are usually embedded in our what we call gateway courses. So they are the courses they're first experiencing in college, or those with they struggle more to pass those courses. They're identified. This is Jeff Tees and his team in the Learning Center's work. It's amazing. I get to shout out to all the work that they're doing. That's where all of this comes from. So those are in those areas. And then the students who are in those courses can go to those coaches and connect that way with them.
I'm sure this could be a much longer conversation, but if it's possible to briefly, I mean, you talk about, making the culture of care a larger program within the college. What would that look like?
Well, that's what we're doing right now. So it's involving getting every person coming out, helping us define themes for who we are, what does it mean to us, and part of that is what does this look like? When I talk about care and culture, how does trust appear to us? How does trust appear to a student? It's things such as, do I listen to them when I walk down the hallway and they say, hey, I don't like what's on this wall over here, or I love that picture. I, as a vice president, have to ask those questions. It's engaging with them. So it's asking those kind of things, coming up with those common sets of metrics, and then being able to say, are we following them, and are they impacting the actual engagement activities that then lead to these type of things? It's a multi-complex level to get to that, but when you analyze it, you can then find out which elements are working. So that's the purpose of doing an actual cultural thing instead of just these pocket initiatives which get the results we're currently at.
Any other questions? No? Thank you, Brian.
Great.
Appreciate
Thank you very much.
All right, let's move on to 2.2, the reports by representatives to the board. We'll start with our student report. I think he's on Zoom. Are you there? No, it's not available. All right, well, let's move on then to our adjunct faculty report. Sean Mendoza, are you on Zoom?
Yes.
Please go ahead.
Good evening, Chair Taylor, Chancellor Nassy, members of the board, and honored guests. This Friday, the adjunct faculty will welcome 3 special guests. Jessica Tinkelberg, Executive Director for the Teaching and Learning Center, will present her proposed Pima teaching competencies. And Keith Rossi, a library department head of Pima Online, will highlight books and resources available at the library specifically for adjunct faculty. And lastly, Charles McCabe, an adjunct faculty member in geography, will encourage us all to participate in the Climate Community Day on April 8th, the downtown campus Amethyst Room from 9 to 4 p.m. We're looking forward to their presentations. Last month, the adjunct faculty met with Dr. Ian Rourke to discuss key topics, including guided pathways, the educational master plan, and the new MyPima platform. The conversation also explored the role of online resources, such as the FAQ guide on executive orders and federal compliance. Given our discussion, the new MyPima platform and resources like the FAQ create a consistent message for all college stakeholders, while fostering a sense of stability in an ever-changing world. I'd like to thank Dr. Rourke for sharing your insights on these important topics. Lastly, I want to thank college administration for their continued support and guidance on topics pertaining to workplace and compensation. Most recently, Dr. David B. met with our AERC members to discuss current and future topics impacting our employee group. We want to thank Dr. B., Provost Rourke, Chancellor Nassy, and board members for your support of the adjunct faculty. And this ends my report.
Thank you. All right, let's move on to our staff report from Don Harp.
Good evening, members of the board, Chancellor Nassy, colleagues and guests. I'd like to begin by wishing everybody a happy Community College Month. I didn't know that was a thing till very recently. A colleague notified me of that, and I saw the ACCT email about it, so I'm jumping on that bandwagon, and what a great way to start that celebration on April 2nd, but with all those recognitions this evening. So. Yeah, what amazing work we do as a professional community. So I'm really proud to work here, and I'm sure you all are too. So again, happy Community College Month. In that vein, I just wanted to mention a couple things that we've done in the last month or so to improve student services and student experiences. And details are in the report, so I'm going to be very brief. Registrar's office has released the e-forms, the e-form solution called Soft Docs, and that was just launched on March 3rd to great success, and that's going to greatly improve the student experience and speed things up for them. Employer Engagement and Career Services, otherwise known as EECS, probably the best acronym at the college if you ask me. They just launched their new online platform, Career Hub, which will improve not only student services, but also services for staff, faculty, and our community employers. OFAS, I almost said I started get off on my acronym trip here. The Financial Aid Office, they were able to increase the number of students receiving their disbursements early this year, despite challenges with the new FAFSA system. And if you were a first-gen low-income student, you know how important those checks are at the beginning of the semester, so that's great news. And then I would like to just thank the board and our chancellor and administrators for the work that they have been doing in communicating out all the changes that are going on at the federal level, particularly with the Department of Ed and federal funding for our grant programs. The FAQs online for both employees and students have been really, really helpful. And just the culture of support. There's a lot of people that are stressed, and the college has always been really good at communication during the pandemic equally, but it really is helpful for staff morale to have that level of communication, and not just communication, the advocacy that's been going on with the board and administrators has been really remarkable and really inspiring. So we wanted to thank you for that. And the last thing I wanted to mention is it's National Student Employment Week coming up. I think it's like the 9th or the 13th, I can't remember, I'm sorry. But I just wanted to recognize all our student staff members. You met 3 of them last month during recognition. We sent them to DC for the ACCT Summit. One of them worked for the Financial Aid Office. One of them was a tutor for one of the grant programs, and another was a mentor, I believe, also with a grant program at our East Campus. And for staff, they're vital members of our team. And we really appreciate what they do for our college and for our departments, but it also gives staff that opportunity to kind of be a teacher and a mentor too. And so it's a really it's like a win-win. It's great for the department, for the staff, and it's also great for the student workers. So thank you to all our student workers out there. And that concludes my report for this evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Don. We'll move on to our faculty report from Governor Lennon.
I didn't hear that. Could we say that one more time? I'm just kidding. My apologies. Chairperson Taylor, members of the board, Chancellor Nassy, guests and colleagues, as we enter the final stretch of the spring semester, this is the time that faculty and students are working diligently to finish strong. It's a busy but rewarding time as we wrap up coursework, projects, and look forward to a celebration of our graduation ceremony. If you haven't come to one of our ceremonies yet, do. It's a party. It's fun. So we hope to see you there. I'd like to take a moment to highlight some of the important work that the Faculty Senate has been engaged in. First, we have been invited to a meeting to begin laying the groundwork for defining shared governance. Thank you to the acting provost for inviting us to that. This is a crucial step in ensuring the faculty voices are heard and that we have a collaborative approach to decision-making. Additionally, our officers have been actively participating in the interview process for the 2 vice provost positions. These leadership roles will play an integral part in shaping the future of our institution, and we appreciate the opportunity to contribute to the selection process. Looking ahead, our current Faculty Senate President and President-elect will be attending the Higher Learning Commission, HLC meeting in Chicago. This is a valuable opportunity to engage with accreditation leaders and bring back insights to strengthen our institution. Senate officers have also been providing input to the HLC current action plan or corrective action plan, ensuring that faculty perspectives are considered as we work toward continuous improvement. Furthermore, we continue to collaborate with administration to enhance processes and communication. We appreciate all the work towards communication that has happened recently. Our goal is not only to identify concerns, but to take an active role in finding solutions, strengthening our institution's culture of care, great timing, and fostering a more effective and inclusive environment for all. As we move forward, we remain committed to working together, supporting one another, and advocating for the best interests of our faculty, students, and institution. Thank you for your time, and I look forward to the continued progress we will achieve together. And that concludes my board report.
Thank you. And we'll wrap up this section with the Chancellor's report.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and good evening, colleagues and guests. It's great. I'm like our Vice Chair, Bernal Morales, I'm filled with gratitude right during those celebrations. I just want to recognize, first our faculty, certainly our staff and administration do a wonderful job, but I always think it's important to recognize no one comes to Pima Community College to meet with the Chancellor, right? They want to learn from our faculty, and I want to recognize the great work that's happening across the college in their spaces. I get opportunities here and there to drop in on classrooms. I visited with an adjunct professor in chemistry this last week, and I had no idea what they're talking about in chemistry, but I did see that learning was taking place, and students were enthusiastically there, and it's just an honor to serve such a great group. And then our students, right, our student athletes, and you heard their GPAs and the commitment they're making, and they make a choice, right, to come to Pima, and so grateful for them. And certainly our board, I heard the celebration of giving, the first generation student panel, the Governance Leadership Institute, which was a 2-day, all day long institute. They pick you up in a bus and take you away, and I was there with Trustee Randall and Trustee Bernal Morales. Thank you. The Futures Conference, you're there because the work, for those of you that don't know, it's a full day in terms of the board meeting. It culminates in the board meeting, but they're here giving, taking time away from their professional lives and then from their personal lives to go to all of these events, participate willingly. And so thank you all so much for your service and your leadership across the board. And I was struck by that this evening. We also have some guests here today. I want to quickly recognize Ryan Murray is our CIO, the Chief Information Officer and Security for the state of Arizona. Later on the board, you'll see an agreement with the state of Arizona where it gives an opportunity for our students to work in the cybersecurity range. Dean James Craig, and that program, as we know, is really a gem here at the college. And if you just want to go ahead and say hi, Ryan. There you are. Thank you for coming down and for the work you're doing to support our students. And yeah, I think the culture of care is timely. Just a couple of things I wanted to point out. I always think about direction, right? Pima Community College is a big ship, and what is the direction that we're moving in? One of the actions that I wrote about in that first 100 Days report is thinking about multiple pathways and open doors to the college. How do people access Pima Community College? What can we do to deepen our engagement with our community? As the board knows, we had a study session on Monday, talking again about your service and contribution to the college. And one of those ideas is intensifying our work with high schools. intensifying high school recruitment. What can we do to have a stronger presence across our high schools here locally? And some of that is first connecting with our local leaders. So at the study session, we had the superintendent from Sunnyside School District joined us here, of course, to provide feedback. I met with Dr. Trujillo yesterday from Tucson Unified School District, and tomorrow we have several superintendents and their teams coming to our West Campus to spend time with us. And our job there is, of course, to talk about what we're doing at the college, but listening how we can support our public education partners and what we can do to deepen our engagement in the high school. So we're doing things, we talked about dual enrollment, early college programs, and that's certainly something that's top of mind. And importantly, I said this at the study session, I'll say it again here at the board meeting, right? The idea is not to cut back on dual enrollment, it's to improvement. What can we do to improve that process? But we're also working on several summer bridge programs to make sure that our students are coming to our campuses over the summer, and really focusing on that post-secondary going rate. When I talk to people, I'm not worried so much about the students in our high school who know they're going to a university or a college. They're set on that, is that more than half do not go to any post-secondary attainment. And I'm always interested in what we can do to reach those families and those students and talk about the opportunities that we have here at Pima Community College to make sure that we're getting them in the door. And some of that is reaching those families. And so that will be part of the themes that we're talking about with our local leaders tomorrow morning. Another thing in terms of direction, another action, is thinking about market-driven curriculum. And so this is happening, of course, across the organization, but just in my interactions since the last board meeting, I went out to Ascent Aviation, where they do aircraft maintenance, and it's a direct pipeline from our aviation programs to an employer. And this was just me sitting down with the employers, and they talked about the need for our students. They would take more and more of our students, so talking about how we could expand capacity. And when I was out there with Dean Greg Wilson, they talked about by the way, I got to meet some alumni working out there. These are career differences. These are real difference makers for these students. Could we develop project management as a competency for people that were already working out there, working with corporations? So just that, and Dean Wilson said he would follow up on that, but just that slight engagement, right, is yet another opportunity to enhance the career and the pipeline for those students. I had the opportunity, and again, some members of our board were at the 10 West Festival, which is a great, trends in technology, entrepreneurship, business ownership, and it was great to see, how the college could engage there. Sun Corridor held an event at our West Campus in our new Health Professions Center of Excellence. And again, those are leaders, those are employers, and how can we connect with them towards that market-driven curriculum? And yesterday, again with the Arizona Technology Council, meeting with Optics Valley and thinking about photonics and the technician opportunities in those programs. So that's just me, right, kind of engaged in those meetings, and I know it's happening tenfold with our unit. So always thinking about those pathways to career and career development and workforce development. And finally, it all comes down to student engagement, and that's always the best part of the work that I get to do. But things like Phi Theta Kappa, which is our Student Honor Society, they held an event here, a statewide event at our downtown campus. Wow, remarkable students. I went to the Adult Education Honor Society event at our El Pueblo Center, and seeing students coming into, earning their adult basic education, high school equivalents, various certificates, and that pathway forward. The first generation student panel, Vice Chair Bernal Morales was with me at that event. Amazing, to see first generation students teaching other first generation students about what they learned, students in the transfer. And that all kind of culminates, there's lots of great things happening, but as my team will tell you, I'm always interested in the scoreboard. Are we really moving the needle at the end? And I'm happy to report to the board, I came in August and sitting down with the board and thinking, okay, what were the goals? And the evaluation at the is scheduled for April. So what can you do between August and April that was meaningful? So sitting down with the team, we really focused on some fundamentals. I think a fundamental for any college is, are you bringing people into the college, particularly a community college, so enrollment. And so, working with the team, our goal was to increase the college enrollment from 44,579, right? So from X, Teresa, to Y, to 45,471. So we were hoping for a 2% increase would be a modest increase, would be something we could do by March 22nd. So you can go from X to Y by this time. And on March 22nd, I'm happy to report, we hit 47,459, and that's a 6.3% increase in our enrollment in that time. So that's a positive. Yeah, we can clap. Where did all the people go? They didn't stay for my report. Likewise, I'm concerned.
You got to play basketball if you want that type of.
I know, right? Persistence, right, is something, and I liked Brian's presentation and the culture of care. And one of the things, Board Member Randall, what does that look like? Great question. Professional development and how intentional can we be around some of these goals? But how do we get students to start with us in the fall, new to Pima, and stick with us just to the spring? We average right around 63%. So could we move that needle? That's harder work. And so could we get to 65.2%? Could we just move that 2% and keep about 100 or more so students who wouldn't normally be with us according to the historical trend? Again, that kind of moving it from X to Y by March 22nd. And we hit that too. Our goal was 65.2%, and we're at 65.56%. So again, hard work by the team just to know that we got at least 100 more students who normally wouldn't have been with us, from fall to spring. Now we got work to do. We want to see them continue. But I think those kind of bottom line pictures kind of give us some sense of the direction we're going. Lastly, want to mention, congratulate publicly the president of the University of Arizona, Dr. Suresh Garamella. Was honored to attend his installation, and he spoke about the great role the University of Arizona plays here in Southern Arizona, the state of Arizona, if not the nation, and talked a lot about research. And also, though, spoke very well about student success, access, and I know he's a big believer in our transfer opportunities in our partnership. And so it was a great event, and happy to be at that and be a working partner with that great university. And I have to mention, as Dawn did, it is Community College Month. So I would encourage everyone to celebrate that. Community colleges do great work across this country. Of course, we're focused on Pima, but it's something certainly we want to celebrate across the country. And so for those, better versed in social media, please be out there with the, the hashtag Community College Month. It is much, much appreciated. So thank you. With that, I'll close.
Thank you, Chancellor, and especially for your leadership. I know it's hard coming into a new gig and having, what was that, 7 months or 6 months or whatever it was to try to figure out what are you going to do to move the needle. And I know it is a collective effort among everybody in this room and all of our faculty and staff and adjunct faculty and everyone else. So thanks all around. But I really appreciate your leadership, and I'm looking forward to what's next as we move forward through this process. So thank you for all your work. I appreciate it. I realize I didn't pause after any of these reports, but does anybody have questions, comments for any of the folks in this section? No. All right. Well, then let's, section 3 is just information items, so you can read at your leisure for those who are joining us tonight. Moving on to section 4, that's our consent agenda. Are there any motions around the consent agenda?
I move we pass the consent agenda.
Is there a second?
I second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
I'm in favor as well, so that passes unanimously. Thank you. So moving on to section 5, our action items. In 5.1, the employee medical and pharmaceutical benefits. Dave, I understand you want to share a little bit about that one before we launch into it.
Hello? There we go. Chairperson Taylor, members of the board, Chancellor Nassy, colleagues and guests. It is my pleasure, and Andrew, who is making his way down, we are here to give a brief overview of the information that's included in your board packet that supports the recommendation for the approval for the employee medical and pharmaceutical benefits for fiscal year 26. There's a lot of information in there. If you guys get into the technical stuff, the smart guy is going to be the one answering the questions. But I want to provide a bit of an overview of where we're at since we last talked about the medical benefits projections for next year. So in February, when we were doing the budget study session, we mentioned that the actuarial analysis that we do on an annual basis indicated that there was going to be a pretty substantial increase in the medical benefits. It's a difficult time for us to absorb that given the constraints in revenues that we're experiencing. So the initial projection was that the increases were going to go up about $1.8 million. And so we looked for strategies, just like we were doing with the other budget items. We'll talk about a couple of them in a few minutes, but looking for different strategies for how to mitigate that increased cost. So what we did is we went to Siegel, the consultant that we use for medical benefits, asked them for some recommendations, both to look at our plan designs, look at the structure of the plan designs and how our participants are, what the costs are related to the different plans, because we have 4 different plans that employees can choose to enter into, and then look at some of the details within the plans to look at ways that we might also, based on benchmarking information where our plans are a little richer than standard plans, where we might be able to make some adjustments that will cut the costs. So again, there's a lot of information in there about how many people participate, all of that sort of thing. But essentially what we did is we got that $1.8 million, made some changes, moderate changes to the plan designs to cut out about $260,000 of the proposed increase, around 250, something like that, to what the anticipated costs are going to be, and then also changing some of the premium structures with employees to better balance out the cost share between the college and the employees for a couple of the plans. That contributes about 250, again, the details are in there, it's 260 and 240 in terms of what those, so the increased employee contributions contribute about $260,000, and then will cover about $240,000 from budget increase. One of the things then we did after getting the information from Siegel is we have a benefits working group. These are employees from the different representative groups who, in most cases, are actually quite knowledgeable about, they've been on this working group for some time. They understand plan designs, they understand the structures. So we worked with them to talk about what some of the recommendations are that we have, asked some questions of them. And they went and actually got feedback from the employees as well to try and get what their recommendation might be for how to address the increased cost of a 1.8. So the proposal is for the college to absorb about $240,000 of it, the plan design to shift about $260,000 to employees to cut some of the costs down out of the plan, and then, as we talked about in the study session, to use accumulated reserves that are specific to this employee medical benefits program, to use about $1 million of that to sort of mitigate the costs. Part of what was really important about talking with the employee working group, the benefits working group, and then also communicating through the different governance structures, is helping them to understand that we try and mitigate the costs. We try and keep the cost increase on our medical plans as low as possible. You can see in one of the slides, it's been 8 years since we changed the premiums and the co-pays for employees, so we do not do this lightly, but helping them understand that this is likely to be an increasing trend. We need to make some changes to the plan design, try and get that increased curve, try and slow it down. Hopefully we'll have better utilization information this coming year, meaning that we'll have better utilization, fewer costs. Hopefully that will happen because the use of the one-time reserves is not going to be something we can continue to do on an ongoing basis. So we have to make some changes to the plan designs and then make people aware that the future, we will probably have to make some additional changes in the future, but hopefully not. So we'll keep the board posted on that. So with that, I'll ask if the board has any specific questions related to the recommendations in front of you.
Any questions for Dave? Yeah, Board Member Barraza.
You just mentioned that in the future, most likely we'll have to make some changes. What measures beyond plan design are being considered for the long term, particularly given that costs will continue to rise?
What you're seeing here would be small versions of what we're talking about. There are things that, I mean, we've got a bunch of different variables to play with, and you can see we've made recommendations where you change some of the plan designs within the plan, then you change some of the plans in terms of creating some more incentives to move people towards the high deductible type plans, which are the more sustainable, affordable plans, create some incentives to do that. That changes some behavior, reduces costs. We have very good wellness programs that have been successful in the past. So, you know, hopefully this is a one-year trend. But if it continues to go in this direction, and by the way, the other thing I didn't mention is when they do the actuarials, it's based on what our utilization history is, so what the actual expenses have been in the most recent period of time. And then they also do projections on what expected increases are going to be from medical costs. So there are some of these things we can't control. Medical costs go up for everyone in the country. We're also victims of that as well. But some of it is that we can change the plan designs, we can change the co-pays, we can change some of those on a moderate basis, and then you can do the cost share change between employees and the college. So it's using a good balanced approach for that, trying not to push the burden onto the employees though, is what I would say. Our primary is always that, as you can see by not having changed it for 8 years. But there's only a certain amount of time you can do that when medical costs go up. Again, that's not our problem. That is a problem for everybody. Not our problem alone. It's a problem for everybody.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Dave? I don't have a question, but just a comment that I think it's actually pretty incredible. I mean, nobody likes to pay more for things. I understand that, but to go 8 years without having to ask employees to contribute any additional amount to their premium is pretty incredible. I mean, I don't think there's been a year in my entire career where my health insurance premiums haven't gone up every single year. So that's a pretty amazing accomplishment in the financial management and contributions the college has made. So I appreciate that the college was able to do that, and that you were doing a lot in this situation as well to try to mitigate what employees were going to have to cover. So thank you for that work. I appreciate that. Mm-hmm. Any other questions or comments? No. Is there a motion on the floor related to 5.1?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All right. All those in favor say aye.
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 There wasn't any opposed, right? Okay. Yep. Unanimous. That one is approved. So moving on to 5.2, the fiscal year 2026 budget parameters. Dave, you're going to hop back up again.
And I know this has been a long meeting, and this shouldn't be too long. It is my pleasure tonight to present and give a little bit of background information related to the recommendations for the fiscal year 26 budget parameters. Hopefully what you're seeing is very familiar because it is very similar to what we've talked about. There are a couple of updates from the last time we spoke in February, but they're more minor in nature. One of them is what we just talked about, is the benefits and how we approach that challenge of the increased costs. And then there are a couple of others that I'll talk you through. But by and large, this is pretty consistent with what we talked about in the study session and how things were shaking up. There's no big changes that I'm throwing at you tonight. As you know, the base budget that we put together is really focused on continuing to implement the things that we've prioritized in terms of strategic plan, and that in large cases, not just continuing our operations as they are now, but also prioritizing the completion of the centers of excellence. We're almost done. This can be the last year where we have the last project is the ST West project at downtown. So it's really starting to slow down now in terms of the construction, but we have to continue and finish up that project there. Within the base budget, we're always trying to sustain the class comp structure that we put in place a few years ago. I'll talk a little bit about that in a couple minutes. Addressing the life cycle maintenance and replacement, the usual type things that we need to do. We really are emphasizing minimizing capital expenditures in the upcoming year, so critical things only. That is because we put so much money recently into the centers of excellence, and as you know, spending down our reserve balances to fund some of those capital projects. So it's really the capital proposals that you'll see in May are going to be fairly small compared to recent years. And then the other one is obviously what we talk about is that limiting expenditure increases to be consistent with what our revenue projections are. Just to hit the big highlights, as we've talked about, the budget that we're proposing and the recommendation that we're putting together, as you all have decided, does not include an increase to tuition and service fees. It includes the levy-neutral property tax rate. So that's not an increase in the tax rate. That's just assuming new growth in new property. That it includes an increase that I'm going to get into some of the details for employee salaries and wages, and then an emphasis on efficiency. To make it balanced, we're going to have to do some reductions and to mitigate cost increases where we can, kind of like what we just talked about with the benefits. Quick highlight on the revenue side, this is completely consistent with what we talked about in February. Again, levy-neutral property tax increase generates about $2.8 million. That's relatively good news. That helps a lot. And then just to remind you, we have the ability to go up another $4.2 million on top of that. What that would be getting to what the levy max is. But again, we're building the budget not to do any of the blue numbers. That's why they're blue. Just a reminder of that's what the capacity is. And then all of the other projections for revenues remain the same as what we talked about in February. In terms of, and this is also consistent with what we talked about, but I'm going to reinforce it and then talk a little bit about the conversations we've been having. What we're looking to do when we talk about these budget parameters, we're basically saying set a compensation pool, and then these might change, and then you'll formally adopt what the actual changes will be in May. The reason that we do the pool is because there are some moderate changes that might happen from the discussions we have with the AARC groups. I don't expect there to be significant changes because these are pretty consistent. They understand the realities of the budget, and they also understand what we're trying to do with the class comp structure, and they're pretty supportive of what that is. I have met with the staff, the faculty, and the adjunct faculty groups for that preliminary conversation. They've talked about what their priorities are, some of the other ideas they'd like to have. There are a couple of things that I think are fairly moderate that might fit within the overall salary pool, and we'll talk more with the board. If there are those recommendations, we'll talk about what those are and how those came to be. They shouldn't be very significant, though. Generally speaking, what we're looking to do is continue our class comp structure, which is to say that we give a year of experience to people up until when they get their maximum. So we march people along from the beginning of the salary scale up to the maximum based on a year of experience. Those scales are all structured to be the middle point of those scales is set to be what the market average is for those jobs. So our jobs are tied to average market pay for those jobs. And in the case this year, we actually did a lot of analysis to ensure that it's been a few years since we initiated the class comp structure, so there are some recommendations to move a few of the scales up, the bands. So for regular staff, the recommendation will be to move the bands 1 through 4 up, because market data indicates that we're a little bit lower than market average compared to our midpoint. And then for faculty grades 1 through 5, also we'll have a recommendation for an increase. The staff increase for the 1 through 4s is significantly higher. I will say it's closer to like 9% on average, something like that. And I think we talked about this, that's largely a factor of minimum wage increases in the labor market dynamics, where people at the lower ends have been getting increased pay. It's harder to get people and to attract people, so those pay for those lower level jobs have been moving up. And so in order for us to be able to pay comparable wages, the recommendation is to move those grades up. Similar for faculty, it's just not as big. That makes sure that our scales are staying competitive with the market. Recommendation to increase the adjunct faculty rate by 3%. That should keep us in a competitive place in terms of adjunct faculty. We are second, third in the state for community colleges. We monitor that information. I talked with the adjunct faculty today about that. They were happy to hear that that's how we look at it. We don't look at it and compare it to the average, because a number of the rural colleges pay well under what we pay. The idea is we look more closely at Maricopa and Coconino, which are the 2 highest paid, and make sure that our wages for adjunct faculty stay pretty competitive with those. And then lastly, after you do this and you give the year of experience, the idea is to try and also have a minimum increase for those who are above their target points, and that's looking like it'll be pretty small this year. It looks like it'll be about 1%. In order to make all of this work with the revenues, and we talked about that, the idea is that we've got to balance out that with some reductions. Continuing to do this, we'll now be entering the second year of what was kind of a 3-year plan of reducing positions through attrition. I included a slide that we used a while ago, so this is old information, but it was what we were using to sort of explain the staffing size compared to enrollment, how it has gotten to be that we've been sort of overweighted in terms of staffing to students, largely as a function of the fact that enrollment has declined so much, right? Our staffing has stayed the same or gone up a little bit, and enrollment has dropped dramatically. So starting this year, but the conversation was happening a while ago, was the idea of let's start reducing the size of our staff to get it better aligned with the students that we're serving. I'm putting this here just to give you, this is one of the ways that we've measured it. There are other ways we look at iPads, do a comparison of where's our staffing compared to other 2-year institutions, staff to enrollment. In all of those measures, we're high. So we're high versus other institutions on average. We're high versus our historical average. So you kind of look at those and you go, where are we versus our historical norms? Where are we versus others? And then what this shows is that based on historical norms, so before pre-COVID, we were, from 2015 to 2019, we were about 16 FTSE per staff. In the pre-COVID age, we got to about 14. It got much worse. So then the idea was, let's get us back to at least something like either 14 and a half, some kind of like measure like that, or 15. What does that mean? So from that point, when we were talking about it, we were about 150 staff higher than what would be indicated. That's based on our own historical norm. Like, that's not just an arbitrary measure of unlike institutions, although I would say it's actually going to show this case. So what it's saying is we're not looking to reduce by 150. We're looking to try and move in that direction, and that's where we got to. This year, the goal was around 25 positions, maybe 30, but it was $2.5 million. What we're looking to do to make things balance in the upcoming budget is a little bit more. So $3 million. Again, it's looking to reduce staff through attrition only. So this isn't reducing, this isn't layoffs. This is looking to, when a position becomes vacant, find a way to close it. We have made good progress. Again, our goal this year is 2.5. We're getting close, and I can tell you that I've got like 3 that just haven't technically been closed. So we're really there for this year. Next year is going to be harder, though, because we've done a lot of the easier ones. Nevertheless, I don't have any doubt that we'll be able to do it through attrition, through some focused effort about finding more efficient ways to do things, and we will have natural attrition. People will leave the college either for other jobs or retirements. They will give us more than enough opportunity to be able to do that. So, again, we talked all about this. This is the one that sort of summarizes. This is where I said there's a little bit of change, but not much. So the idea I mentioned that with what we expected for contractual obligations, those are increases in licenses, some lease costs that we are anticipating some increases, and then custodial services being the biggest ones. Doing everything we can to contain those costs as much as possible. We're going to be implementing some reductions in terms of other operating expenses. It won't be dire. It won't be anything that has any major effect. It will more like just express that, hey, the college does need to tighten up a little bit. For example, travel. We need to be more judicious. Instead of sending 15 or 20 people to the same conference, okay, let's be really judicious. Let's send 5 people, and then have those people come back and explain to the other, do train the trainer type approaches, more like that. So we'll be doing some implementing some strategies like that will reduce costs on the operational side, and then the reduction of the positions through attrition of about $3 million. I think I summarized all the things that vary even slightly. Again, these are slight variances from February, but I said that what we would be looking to do is find ways to reduce the contractual obligations and find ways to reduce the medical plan increase. So that's essentially what you're seeing there. Okay, with that, I'll ask if the board has any questions. So then what that does, again, on the compensation side, it gives us enough of a pool to then finalize and have more conversations with the AERC groups. It gives us the general parameters that we can then come back and show you the budget as it will look like when we take it to the public, so that we can formally adopt it in June. It's a lot easier this year if we don't do a tax increase because we don't have a truth in taxation process that we have to do. So it's a little bit easier because you have to follow certain regulations to make that work. All right, with that, I'll ask if the board has any questions. I was trying to get through this a little faster than I did, but.
You did great, thank you. And just a reminder, we're not passing a budget tonight, right? Like, we're just sort of approving these general parameters for the college to then use to develop the actual budget, and we'll get the actual budget at a later date, just so everybody's clear on what we're doing. Any questions or comments for Dave on the budget parameters?
Yeah. Dr. B, in the past, Chair Taylor has talked about right-sizing the college, and I'm wondering, it's not really a question about what you presented today, but what would that entail for us to figure out how to right-size the college? Would we have to figure out, how many students are in each program, and would the board need to know that kind of information? Because I don't see any, to be honest, I don't see any right sizing in this budget. It looks really similar to what we've been doing, except for the tax increases for the last couple of years. And I'm just wondering, is that something that we're interested as a board to see move forward, or is this kind of stuff okay? So I guess that was a long roundabout question. How does the board think about right-sizing the institution?
Okay, so I would say that this does do some right-sizing. That $3 million of reducing positions through attrition is right-sizing. It's just doing it slowly-ish. The idea, now keep in mind that the largest expenditures that the college has are personnel. So if you want to right-size the expenditures of the budget, essentially there's no way to do it other than through personnel. And then when we're looking at, okay, what are the indicators of what is not right-sized, would be we're overstaffed for the size of the enrollment that we have. So what are the mechanisms that we have in place to make sure that that's aligned properly, and that's where the reducing through attrition. If you wanted to right-size more aggressively, then you start talking about reducing in a way that's more than just through attrition, that you're actually targeting reductions of different types. We've talked with the board in the past about locations, downsizing strategically, like it's looking at programs, deciding that certain programs, this isn't sustainable to have that kind of conversation. Those conversations will be happening for sure, but this is sort of a slow and relatively painless way to begin the right sizing process. But I would not say it's not right sizing. It is definitely heading in that direction.
Okay, so 2 more questions. I remember the first year there were 90 positions that weren't full, and so we got rid of 30 of them that first year. I'm assuming that these positions by attrition are those, or were they actual separations from the college where we had an employee that we were actually paying salary? It was 21 on the sign, and I think you said there were 3 more, so 24. Are those 24 people that were receiving a salary this past year and now they're not here anymore?
In many cases, yes.
Okay.
But they're not layoffs. They're not people we said, you're no longer working at the college. They're people who got another job and then looking at that organizational structure go, you know what, I think we can actually do this without that position being filled. We can do the job that what was being done by that person can be done in a different way. And so then you, instead of hiring that position or filling that position again, you close the position. So it ranges. There are some of them, again, this is like a fluid, dynamic process. So you say, well, at a given point, we might have 90 vacancies, but 60 of them might be in recruitment. And then 30 might be, well, we're seeing what we're going to do. We think we need it. So sometimes it's easy, and it go, okay, it's just vacant. It's been vacant for some time. We'll eliminate it. But in a lot of these cases, it's more like an opportunity comes up because someone leaves, and the unit realizes that they can reconfigure and manage the workload that needs to be done without hiring a new position. More of it is that.
Okay, thank you, Matt. And my last question is, when you guys compute those FTSE ratios, 14.5 or whatever it was, did those computations include those 60, 30, 60, 90 positions that were vacant? Are those?
Yes. It would have included those.
Okay. Okay.
It would include vacant positions.
Okay.
When we said we have too many, it would include vacant positions because until they're closed, there's the possibility of filling them. Okay. Now, we also have mechanisms in place right now. There's hiring reviews, right? So in order for a position to be approved to fill, it has to go through here's the justification, here's why you need it. Kind of a soft freeze, if you will. It's not a hard freeze where it's like you cannot fill. It is, no, you have to go through a process. You have to justify why you need the position. Have you gone through and reviewed whether you can reorganize things, that sort of thing. So there's, all of the units are now actively looking at how to be more efficient, how to eliminate positions, how to not fill positions when they become vacant. But some positions you have to fill. Right?
Okay. Any other questions or comments, Dr. B, on budget parameters? Board Member Barraza and then Morales?
That
works. You want
works.
to go first? All right.
Doesn't matter.
Sure. Vice Chair Morales, go ahead, and then we'll go to Board Member
So
Barraza.
moved.
Second.
All right. Any discussion?
I just wanted to say that I think there are a lot of things that we should be proud of in what we're seeing here in these budget parameters. Not just the no property tax increase or tuition increase, but beyond that, the salary adjustments, especially for adjunct faculty. As a former adjunct myself, I understand the dedication and the effort that our educators put into supporting our students, the success of our students. So it's important that we recognize their contributions with fair and competitive wages. And so I'm particularly happy about our ability to do that this year with no salary and property tax increases.
Great, thank you. Any other discussion? Not hearing any. I'll just echo that too. You know, we talked about this when we talked about tuition, but you know, I have 4 kids, and so I've seen the movie Frozen about 7 billion times, and my wife is a particular fan of the Fixer Upper song in there that the Trolls sing. And there's a line in there that always sticks in me that says, people make bad choices if they're mad or scared or stressed. I think, unfortunately, we have a lot of stress and fear and anger and things to be stressed about and angry about and fearful about in the environment that we're in now. Changes at the federal level and other things that are happening. And so I'm really happy that we could say that we're not adding to that, adding to people's stress by raising their tuition or raising their property taxes at a time of so much disruption and uncertainty. I think that's incredibly important for this community, and I'm really proud that you all have figured out a way to do that and still provide for increases that reward the hard work of our faculty, staff, adjunct faculty, administrators, and others. I know some of those salary increases will be cut into slightly by some increases around the health insurance side. But as we said, even there, to have gone 8 years without asking employees at the college to contribute any more, and then all the work that was done into offsetting what could have been even a larger necessity of contributions. So much is being done to minimize the impact of what we're doing, and especially in the environment we're in, and at the same time do things to make the college more efficient. And we're doing it not necessarily in a super aggressive way, but again, it's a stressful time. There's a lot of fear out there, and if we can continue to advance towards something that's more efficient than what we have, while at the same time rewarding people for their work and not asking our students or their families to contribute more money or Pima County taxpayers to contribute more than what they're doing now, I think that's a tremendous win. So I'm thrilled that we're at this place, and we'll be able to move forward in this capacity. So I'm really happy with the way these parameters laid out. So thank you, Dr. B and Chancellor Nassi, for your work to get us to this point. So with that, I'll call the vote. All those in favor say aye.
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 And I'm an aye as well, so that passes unanimously. So the last item on our agenda is the request for future agenda items, but sort of under that parameter, I have a question sort of from my colleagues. We've done a lot of discussions about budget, and you can see it's still on the screens up there too. Yeah, what's coming in terms of May and June around the budget. Do any of you feel like we need like another study session on the budget? Do you feel comfortable with where we are and what you know? And keep in mind too, if you have specific questions, the Chancellor or Dr. B can meet with you one-on-one too to talk about that. I just wanted to make sure if we did need more study session time on budget issues that we added that, but if not, we'll just move forward with what we have planned. But I wanted to pose that question to you all if you needed more. Shrugs of confidence. That sounds good. I'll take that. All right, excellent. Well, if you change your mind, or I said if you need additional information, please reach out to the Chancellor or myself, and we'll make sure we get you the information you have. And now, just generally speaking, any future agenda items you want to get on a future board meeting or study session?
I have two. And I don't know if this would necessarily be a study session, but maybe just information for all of us. Where are we with the PSESI plan? We used to talk about it often, and I think it's been off all of our radar since we've been doing lots of busy important work in other areas, but that would be important to know. And I know that Dr. B mentioned that we don't have any more big things coming up, but we might have that big thing coming up. And if we really want to complete the big plan, I think PSESI, public safety, Thank you, Amanda. I think that, to finish that is really, really important as far as complementing all of the amazing things that Pima is offering. So that's my first thought, just, maybe an update if it's not part of a study session. And then this is sort of a proposal. I've been thinking a lot. I talked with Greg Wilson at the beginning of the semester, and we were talking about the hard-to-hire faculty positions, instructor positions, things like that. And I have a conundrum that so certain people we pay more because they're more valuable, but we don't pay other people more because you can get a math teacher anywhere. And I'm not disrespecting anybody. I'm saying that because I was a math teacher, right? So there's a little thing that makes me feel really uncomfortable, but I know we need to do that, right? Because we need to have those instructors in place to teach our students in these amazing areas. So I was thinking, and I was talking with a friend of mine who is, she's a neonatal healthcare specialist, and she was mentioning that, TUSD, City of Tucson, State of Arizona, a lot of big companies, big corporations, they all have 12 weeks of paid family, we used to call it maternal leave, but now it can be either mom or dad taking time to be with a new child, or split it both, right? And I think that I looked into TUSDs. They have many, many more employees than us, and they estimated it was going to cost them $550,000 a year to fund those 12 weeks of paid new parent leave. And, there are many people in the college that are way beyond childbearing age, right? So it's not going to affect many of our employees, but maybe reaching out to those hard-to-hire groups, it might be an added incentive, even if we don't offer the top dollar that they would come here if they had a benefit like that. So I was wondering if that's something that we can talk about or discuss. I mean, maybe not necessarily the board, but I would like the college to think about that, because if we're smaller than TUSD, so if it costs us less money, but it is an added incentive for new employees to come here, even if we're not matching that highest rate, it might be a way of filling some of those hard to hire positions.
Great, thank you. So I heard PSCSI and maybe a look at the college's leave programs, paid family leave, and maybe others, and see if we're competitive. All right, any other future agenda items? No, I have one that just popped into my head today, and we can talk about before, but I would love to know if we're on track with the bachelor's degree program that we're supposed to be rolling out, and then also like the future ones that we're talking about, and what that looks like in terms of timelines and development. I know there's a lot of opportunity there, and I think that's an exciting avenue for us to pursue. So I'd love at some point some additional information on are we on track for our first one, or still on track for our first one, I guess, and what does the future ones look like? All right, last call for those? No? If not, is there a motion to adjourn? I can move. All right, who is our second?
Second.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
All right, we are adjourned.